Hello, I'm Quizzical Jen, and today I hope to teach you some minor basics of Milkshape. In the description below there will be a link to a couple of sites that should help you a little more in case I forget to mention something. To get started, I'm going to show you your preferences and your import and exports. With your imports and exports, the object we're going to be using the most, the file format we're going to use the most is a WSO, also known as Insertsource Workshop Object. It's just simply what I'm comfortable working with and what I use the most. You also, when you start up the import, it's going to look like this, so you have to scroll down a little bit in order to reach it. Moving on to preferences, you're going to want to switch it to point size 3, what it is now. Because if it's point size 1, you can't really see what you're doing. Okay, it's all gone and tiny. So, just for convenience, it's at point size 3. I don't know whatever happened to point size 4, but I digress. Edit will have your hide selection and duplicate selection. Those are the two things you're probably going to use with some form of frequency, hiding a selection more so than duplicating, since most of you are probably just going to quick mesh something to make a very fast edit and get it out. But if you decide to do more advanced meshing in the future, we will have a video covering the duplication selection. Next is your vertex. And going back to the duplicating selection, this is what will allow you to mirror a piece front and back. And it can be very handy to have and use if you need to get something done quickly and you don't have the time to remesh each individual piece. You also have align normals, and this is going to be a tool you're going to use a lot more likely than the mirroring or duplication at all. Mainly because it's what makes the mesh look smooth and seamless. If you franken mesh something, you're definitely going to need it. See, face, there's nothing really to use, because face to front I have yet to really get to work properly. Animate is more for making poses and animations. I'm afraid that's a bridge I'm not going to be able to help you cross because I don't know how to do those myself yet either. Tools has DirectX Mesh Tools, which is responsible for making the lower LODs, and the Model Cleaner, which, as it sounds, cleans up your models. You're also going to use it quite a bit as well, but we'll come more to those later on. And last but not least is the View window with the Texture Coordinator Editor. You're going to use this mainly for editing your UV maps. Again, something that will be gotten to later. Now we're going to move on to your bread and butter, the Model and Groups tab, and Materials as well. For right now, we're going to leave joints alone because they're not really that important if you're just going to do a couple of small edits. Now then, selecting, ta-da, and that's pretty much it. And if you want to select, say in the 3D viewer, you hold Alt and drag, and you can select in the 3D window. And if you want to select more, you hold Shift at the same time, and it follows through in the Alt window as well. Selecting faces is something you're more likely to do if you need to regroup it. It's very handy, but you only need it for a few select reasons every so often. And for a majority of what I have planned, you're not going to need selecting faces, just the vertex. Also, minor note, remember to keep ignore back faces unchecked, because if you don't, if you have it checked, it's going to create a bit of a mess. I'm sorry, my tongue's already tying up. Now then, moving on to the Groups tab. This is one of those things where the face is going to be important. Like, say, if you make a new piece of your mesh, or if you add something in and you need it away from the original, just regroup it, and it's away. And if at a later date you want to put them back together, you select both groups and regroup. And you're one piece again. And last, but not least, is your Materials tab. And this is where you're going to apply a lot of textures. I personally use it to test them out so that I don't have to waste time in the workshop. It's a great help for that. So, to apply a new texture, new, none. Scrolling to find my textures. Okay, well, technically they're not my textures. CMR made them. And you're going to want to use the check pattern because the rainbow I find to be a bit more confusing. It's just, this is better, definitely. So, oh, you forgot to select it because you need to have a mesh selected before you can assign a material to it. So, it is select, materials, new, none, select a pattern, then click assign. And ta-da, Bob's your uncle, you have a map that is covered. Well, you have a mesh that is covered, not a map. And for the moment, this will do for the basics. Hopefully it'll have helped you somewhat in learning what to do. And shortly coming up, there will be the tutorial on age conversions, going from teens to adults. Well, adult to teen clothes will like. It'll just be another minor basics teaching. See you then!